Hey, it's Dan. Welcome back. You're watching iAllegedly. And I've got a good one for you today because I am in Laguna Beach again. And it seems like I do this a lot when we have banking issues. And there's a lot of problems with the banks right now. They're shutting down accounts. They're getting ready to get the playbook set to close your account, to shut off credit cards, and to shut off lines of credit. So before I get into it, please take a second to like the video. Please hit the subscribe button. Share this with all your friends and colleagues and everybody who may be interested in this stuff. Don't forget, we've got, if you don't have a Webull account, you can get one for free. Get a free stock below. Join our email list below as well. But let's get into it. Citibank, the banking conglomerate, just announced that they are convinced that the stock market's going to have a huge correction, approximately 20% at least. This is very interesting because what they're seeing is that they're changing their tune. Everything is great, but they're warning account holders, they're warning shareholders that they could see an imminent collapse in the market in short order. Now, that being said, you need to be ready for this because as an older guy who has lived through 2008 and saw the banking debacle that they did to us back then, this is happening all over again. But from everything I've read and everybody I've seen, I think that this is going to be much worse this time. You know, the real estate experts that I've talked to, the banking experts, the stock gurus that I've talked to, these people all feel that this crash is going to be harder and stronger than anything we've seen in our lifetimes. It's going to mirror the Great Depression. Now, technology has made it so that we can trade stocks. You can be a Robinhood, or you can, have M1 Finance. You can have Webull. You can have whatever you want and trade. And they're great programs for people. But when you look at the average Robinhood account, when they did their financial disclosures to go public, they only have accounts that basically have $4,000 worth of value in these accounts. So that being said, it's not huge accounts, but people are trading on money that I don't think that a lot of people don't really have they really can't lose this money right now. They cannot afford it right now. And people are doing more on margin than they ever have. But getting back to Citibank sees a real problem on the horizon. And you have to look at this from your deposits in your bank account. You have to look at it to everything internationally that's happened. First things first, Mexico. Mexico is having an inflationary problem like they've never had in the history of the country. They're seeing spikes in prices again. And what did they do for the second time? They have a Fed meeting like we have here, and they took that Fed meeting and they used it to raise interest rates. So they've got over 4% interest rates right now in Mexico, and you can say, oh, that's ridiculous, but this is what they're doing to curb inflation in their country. Now, again, we saw, the peso fall and everything that's happened in the last 30 years and everything that's just been crazy with Mexican banking. But when you look at this stuff and you look at what they're doing and what needs to be done here, we need to taper here. We need to raise interest rates here. And remember, this was something that was going to happen in 2023, and now they're talking about it more and more on basically a daily basis. The Fed is giving us hints that this could happen. Now, speaking of international banking, one thing that we're seeing is countries that are admitting that they're starting to have problems now. And this is a problem for everybody. And you can say, oh, how does India affect me, Dan? How does the UK affect me? Well, they do, okay? Because you're going to see these problems that happen internationally, and they're going to start to affect banks that deal with these countries. But you're also going to see problems with inflation. You're going to see problems with buying power. Countries that manufacture goods. Africa right now is the next country that says that they're going to have international problems with banking. Okay, they had a problem in 2013 called the tapering effect, and it had to do with oil, and it had to do with rising prices. It's going to happen again, and they are talking about how their banking system could be completely shut down as a result of this. The story's below, but again, take a look at this. Take a look at what's happening around you internationally, because this could affect each and every one of you. Now, again, I love this place. It's got this winding walkway that we've never really, investigated together. But these are very, very cool places to walk around, to take a look at, and just a beautiful, beautiful day out here. Look at that. Isn't that nice? So, next thing, used cars. They're saying that the used car bubble is burst. Okay. Again, I thought it was all made up myself, but now they're saying that used car prices are going to start to tumble as we get to more manufacturing and more of a need for people to purchase new cars again. Huh? Okay. Where did this come from? First things first, a month ago, you couldn't find a new car. The chip shortage was a problem. And you had to look at things like a used car, but they were getting top dollar for used cars. And I know people that traded cars into places like CarMax, and they had junk. They had things that they needed to basically push in there. Oh, honey, we got it started. Let's get it over there. That they gave them thousands of dollars more than the market value. So that being said, you're starting to see crazy things happen. You're starting to see a twist in the economy where before it was everything's wonderful, and we don't need to worry about raising interest rates, so where they're going to start tapering. Even Africa's talking about tapering. So share your thoughts on this stuff. Do you think that the international banking is going to affect you? I do. I think that, as we get these stories and look at the comments in the video, it's really important. When you look at people from Holland, people from Germany, people from Turkey now are responding to all this stuff, and they're telling me about the economy and what's happening there. I'd love to hear from Africa. I'd love to hear more from South America, but it's fascinating what these people are going through and how they're being affected and how they're being told one thing and another thing is happening. But what they're also seeing is the shelves being barren for different products. We're seeing so many different products that they're having problems with getting in the supply chain. Okay, I thought we were coming back. I thought everything was great. So share your thoughts, guys. So this is the beach at the Montage, which, again, guys, look at how beautiful this is. This is free. You can come down here, enjoy yourself. You don't have to be staying at the hotel. Now, to keep with the banking theme and have another banking story, there's a man out of Northern California, David Barnett. And Mr. Barnett was basically scammed out of half his life savings. And what the thieves did, which was absolutely brilliant, was they used a process called spoofing, where they acted like they were Bank of America. He got a phone call from what he thought was Bank of America. And they said, "Sir, your account has been hacked. We need to have you transfer funds immediately using the Zelle app." And like an imbecile, he did it very quickly. Now, here's the thing. If you ever get a phone call from the bank or at your credit card or any governmental agency or anything like that, start asking questions. He should have asked questions about the Bank of America person on the phone and said, tell me what my last deposit was. Where was the last place I used an ATM? They should be able to give this information to you to prove who they are. If they're not going to do that, "Oh, we can't do that, sir, because of security reasons," hang up on them and call the bank. So this guy transfers half his life savings to scammers using the Zelle app, to a third party. And when you read the article, it'll be below, the guy says, I felt kind of worried about doing it, but he had no problem doing it. So that's on him. Now, there's good news to this, because Bank of America gave him all his money back the following day. So I would die of embarrassment and not tell anybody that this happened to me. But this guy felt it was good enough to go on local San Diego or San Francisco news and share it with all of us, so you get to see it. Now, the next story. Out of the playbook of 2008, banks are getting ready to shut down accounts. There are 5 reasons why banks will do this. And also, there is a great story from, I think it's Banking Times or Banking News, whatever I've got, it's in the video description below, but they're talking about how to spot problem accounts. And what they're doing with these problem accounts is they're closing the accounts that they think could be potentially a headache. Now, what happens is, if the banks don't understand what you do for a living, what does this guy sell? How come he brings in money in cash and credit cards and checks? Whatever, they can shut down the account. They can give you whatever reason they want because they're the bank. But the main reasons that they're doing this is if you have poor credit. So many people, guys, over the course of the last year and a half have taken a financial hit that their credit's been hurt, okay? So that being said, banks are using this as a way to close accounts right now, which is absolutely horrible. If you have been over your credit line and your credit card too much, they're just closing the accounts now. They're also adjusting the accounts so that your credit line is lowered substantially and there's nothing you can do about it. And you know, if you've been late on payments, that's another thing. You know, just a normal headache for the bank. They're gonna look at ways to close your accounts right now. The next two stories are very topical right now, and that is the first-time unemployment job claims hit another 375,000 this week. Again, guys, the last 4 weeks, but if you notice, they also upped the numbers from last week too. So we're seeing that over and over and over again, where they get these numbers and then they revise them upward, which does nobody any good. And we're supposed to believe we're in this booming economy, that there are over 10 million jobs available right now. And you can get a job doing anything, okay? You want to be an astronaut? Be an astronaut. I mean, absolutely anything. But that being said, there's more and more people that are looking for work. No one can, you know, pay their expenses and live full-time as a barista in certain areas like this. You could not do that. I don't think you work at this hotel and afford the area that I'm walking around in right now. The next thing is the eviction moratorium. This has a crazy twist to it. For those of you that follow this channel, I spoke about and shared a story earlier this week with a federal judge, Dabney Friedrich, who said she didn't think that the moratorium would stick and that it was going to be overturned in short order because they didn't have a leg to stand on. President Biden shouldn't have done what he did, blah, blah, blah. Well, she's the one that just overturned this. She said that it's going to stand through October and that the argument that was brought in front of her was not strong enough to overturn the CDC's point, and it's going to stay intact until October, the first week of October. That's crazy, guys. So again, if you guys aren't paying your rent, dun dun dun, 2-month reprieve again, guys, for most of these people. And now they say it's 80% of the country, but it's most of the areas that are affected with larger populations that could be affected by COVID during this time. Now, I want to expand on that earlier story from American Banking and Finance Journal, and that is this. They have signs that bankers use to see if your company is in trouble, if your industry is in trouble, if your business is in trouble. And articles like this are great to read to see, hey, am I part of the warning signs? It's a great way to get yourself ahead of the game. And again, as a connective marketer, the one thing, I'm a student. I'm constantly learning. I'm constantly adding knowledge. And it's the only way to survive and stay on top of things. You'll make more money doing this, by the way, because you're gonna stop problems before they become catastrophes. Okay? So that being said, look at these 5 issues, but also take some advice from me on one thing. And that is, have multiple banks that you deal with. Do not just deal with one bank. That is the kiss of death right now, because you're going to see banks do different things that are going to shut people down in such a way that it's going to be over with, okay? And, you know, you may have a line of credit with one bank, an account with another bank, but again, do yourself a favor and introduce yourself to the bank manager at every bank you deal with. Now, the reason for that is, I'll give you an example. I had multiple banks. I had one bank that we needed different things from, lines of credit and things like that. Introduced myself to Marty, the manager, and the way that you do this is this: I'd like to have coffee with you. They're all gonna say the same thing. Oh, I can't leave the branch. No, I wanna do it here. I just want 15 minutes of your time. So they know that they're gonna have to block off 15 minutes for you. Now, certain banks like Bank of America, they have, salespeople that work within the branch that are gonna constantly try to sell you things. The manager may want that person there, which is fine. You don't care about that. Make sure that you're there, you're telling the bank what your company does, how it gets its leads, how it sells, how it collects money, how your receivables are, how your relationships are with your vendors, and gives them a better picture of what you do. And again, if you sell something that is unique, if you sell equipment or you run a backhoe company, and I grew up in construction, so I know all these different terms of what things are used for, but bankers sit behind a desk all day. They have no idea what a backhoe is. Bring equipment in. Bring pictures of termite equipment. Oh, we use orange oil. We use this. We use that. And it just, not to sit there and grind on them and do an hour presentation, but just so they understand this is what this guy sells, okay? Now, that being said, you can increase your relationship so much by doing this, and it's so simple. Again, 15 minutes. They will all tell you the same thing. They're not gonna go to Starbucks with you or lunch and hang out. You're not that big of a client. And again, work on your relationships with these people. Tell them what you do. Work on problems, because if there's ever a funky deposit, if there's ever anything that's out of the norm, they know who you are and they're gonna solve the problem. Now, the other thing is Bank of America is notorious for having what they call training branches. These branches are horrible because they have employees that are at the branch no longer than 16 weeks. That's only 4 months. So you can have a manager that you sit down and do this beautiful talk with, and he could be your best friend, and that guy's now in Duluth, okay? So work on that and find out about the branch. Now, if you deal with Bank of America, go to another branch, because they're not all training branches, okay? So take the advice, try it. Trust me, it'll work for you. But one question I get asked a lot is problems with stimulus checks, past stimulus checks. Some people got the first one, didn't get the second and third. Some people got the third one, didn't get the first and second. If you are eligible for this, the IRS has actually set up a new phone number that you can call. And I will leave the link below for you so you can hook up with them. There is a thing called recovery rebate, where even if you don't file a tax return, you may have to file a tax return to get the stimulus checks. The stimulus checks were also sent out in very ridiculous ways. They were sent out, the second ones were sent out in white envelopes that were debit cards that basically looked like an advertisement as far as I was concerned, with everybody that showed them to me. So if you were eligible for this, you wanted to make sure that you just didn't throw it away, and it's happened. So get the money, reach out to the IRS, ask them questions. What's the worst thing that's gonna happen, okay? You can just find out, okay? Use the recovery rebate portal, check it out, and they'll tell you if you're eligible for it and what you have to do to get it. So take 5 minutes out of your life and call the IRS. In reading all these news stories, it's kind of funny that you see bankers, people need to get used to certain terms now. And the term tapering is something people need to get the knowledge of and understand. So when it happens in the next few years, they'll understand what it is. Well, guys, this is not going to happen 2 or 3 years from now. Tapering is the government limiting its asset buying, like through the Fed. So this is going to stop, guys. You're going to see this just like you did in Mexico, where they're going to have to raise interest rates. Interest rates, in my opinion, not giving you financial advice, should be 4 or 5% right now. And it should be realistically much higher than it is to purchase everything right now. And that being said, it's not. It's free money. It's free love. It's great. Great story I found about prisoners getting PPP loans, and they set up a PPP loan portal in the prison so that these guys could go out and get money for PPP loans. Created fake businesses, fake financials, fake everything, so they could go out and get PPP loans on your dime as they sit in federal prison. It's absolutely crazy. People can't get their stimulus checks, and these idiots are getting PPP loans. So, you know, share your thoughts. Now, I want to close it out in the most important story of this whole video, and that is this. I have sad news to say that Kentucky Fried Chicken, KFC, has announced that they're going to have supply shortages. Bad news, man. Bad news. So when you go to the KFC the next time, you're going to have problems getting everything. They may not have coleslaw. They may not have the biscuits. They may not have the mashed potatoes. So just get ready for it. As long as they have the extra crispy, I'm okay with that. So kind of ridiculous that now they're getting people ready for this. Frito-Lay did it. Frito-Lay's putting advertisements in their different packaging to say we may have supply problems getting product. Okay, I thought everything was perfect, guys. Everything was absolutely fantastic. So that being said, clearly it's not. Share your thoughts. It's very humid out here today, but it's beautiful. And I love coming out here when I talk about the banking stuff. It just really is a great place to clear your head and just relax. So please don't forget to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, share it with all your friends and colleagues. And don't forget to join the email list. If you want to join the Patreon group, you can join the Patreon group and get more access to me. Onward and upward, guys. I will see you guys very soon.